Call to order the Show Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting for Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022. Call to order. Roll call shows that all commissioners are present. We'll start with the invocation and pledge allegiance. Invocation by Commissioner Lewis and pledge allegiance by Commissioner Hatch. Please rise if you'd like to join.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here this evening. We're grateful for the prosperity in which we enjoy in this great community of Sholo. We're grateful for our mountaintop home. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to serve, and we pray that Thy Spirit will be with us this evening as we consider the matter before us, that our eyes will be open, we'll have clear minds and be able to make correct decisions. We're again grateful for all which Thou does for us. We pray that Thou will continue to watch over, keep us safe. Pray that we would continue to receive the moisture that we need for the upcoming fire season. We also would ask a blessing to be upon the people of Ukraine and upon the world leaders. Love Thee, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, seeing no old business, we'll move to new business. The consideration of conditional use permit 602-04245 submitted by Cole to allow for senior apartments located at 4600 South White Mountain Road, that being APN 21203 114 F and H. Ms. Fechtelkotter.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Cole Engineering has submitted a conditional use permit, or CUP, to allow for senior 55-plus age-restricted apartments located at 4600 South White Mountain Road, that being APN 21203 114 F and H. The applicant is currently in the process of applying for a low-income tax credit from the Arizona Department of Housing. The subject property is approximately 4.85 acres, is zoned C2 general commercial, and is currently undeveloped. Multiple family dwellings over 10 units require a CUP in the C2 zone and are required to meet the standards of the R2-7, single family and multiple family residential 7,000 square foot zone. A site plan was submitted that indicated a 3-story, 36-foot high apartment building with 92 units. For a property of this size, the maximum lot average per dwelling unit is 2,500 square feet in the R27 zone. This means that the maximum unit count for this property is 84 units. In addition, the maximum building height is to exceed 35 feet. Staff participated in a conference call with the applicant to discuss city code requirements and concerns relating to density, open space, landscaping, fire access, drainage, parking, and improvements along Cub Lake Road and State Route 260. The applicant indicated that they had applied for the CUP as a requirement for an anticipated grant application to the Arizona Department of Housing. Therefore, the submitted site plan is preliminary in nature, and the final development shall meet all requirements of city code. Cole has submitted a revised site plan yesterday, and a copy has been provided for the commissioners for your review. The revised site plan shows 84 units instead of 92. It includes an emergency access onto Cub Lake Road and a covered common area. Current zoning of the surrounding properties includes to the north, south, and east C2, and to the west A General, which is Navajo County zoning. The current land uses of the surrounding properties includes to the north undeveloped commercial, to the south undeveloped commercial and Law 54, east Culvers, and west residential. Transmittal memos were sent to all affected agencies, and applicable comments received include from Arizona Department of Transportation, or ADOT, ingress egress onto State Route 260 will require a permit from ADOT, and a traffic impact analysis will be needed to be submitted to ADOT. Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District stated a 360-degree access is required for this proposal. Other access solutions may be available. Hydrant access to the internal of the project, and fire sprinklers are required, and fire department connection, FDC, to be within 100 feet of a fire hydrant. Staff has received a phone call from a resident in the area who had questions regarding drainage access and improvements to Cub Lake Road. After reviewing the zoning ordinance, standards for review, findings of facts, discussion with the applicant, and because the request is consistent with the City of Show Low general plan, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission approves conditional use permit 602-04-245 submitted by Cole to allow for senior apartments located at 4600 South White Mountain Road, that being APN 210-0212-03-114F and H, subject to the following conditions. All development should comply with all applicable federal, state, and local requirements, including building permit, sign, parking, fire district, and ADOT requirements. Entryway landscaping meeting the requirements of City Code Chapter 19.7.120G shall be installed and maintained. The applicant shall coordinate with ADOT and city staff to landscape the White Mountain Road right-of-way. 3, ADOT permit shall be required. The developer of the subject property shall coordinate driveway locations, including roadway and sidewalk requirements, with the adjacent property owner and ADOT. The applicant shall be responsible for their proportional share of any required street improvements along Cub Lake Road. All drainage on the subject property shall be designed in accordance with Chapter 17.20.5 drainage and design, and shall not negatively affect any downstream properties. The development shall comply with Chapter 15.55 R27 zone, single family, multiple family residential, 7,000 square feet of city code, including density, height, and recreation area requirements. Maximum building height shall be limited to a maximum of 35 feet. Building design shall comply with Chapter 17.70.120F and include mountain design architecture such as exposed beams, wood beams, stone, split face block, and other complementary natural appearing materials. All development shall comply with Chapter 19.110 outdoor light control. Lights shall be fully shielded from adjacent properties and roadways. Staff, as well as the applicant, are available for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Pectogatter. Any questions for staff from the commission?
I do.
Commissioner Lewis.
That phone call was, did that appease the caller? Your response?
The individual who made the phone call is actually here, and I believe they're going to be approaching the microphone when given the opportunity. We did have a good conversation. It was fair on both sides, but they are here and they can represent themselves if they feel the need.
Two questions. The initial says 36 feet, and then we of course limit it to 35. So was that was the alteration, or?
So in the R2, so any development in the C2 zone that's over 10 units is subject to the R27 zone, and the maximum allowable height in the R27 zone is 35 feet.
Okay.
In the C2, it is allowed up to 45 feet, but because it's subject to the R27 zone, it's limited to 35 feet.
Okay. And then this says 92 unit. Was there an 86?
There was 84. That was the first.
the
Yeah, that
numbers
was
you
the
sent
first submittal.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they submitted a revised site plan that reduced the unit count.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Yes, Vice Chair.
And I understand that this is just a preliminary site plan, but I do have some concerns about the skew of the driveway accessing 260. I just was, if you guys had some clarification on what city code requires as far as that skew, any input on that would be great.
So, as indicated, this is a preliminary plan. Has not been reviewed by ADOT yet for their comments. We also have a few concerns, primarily with the property directly to the north. That's a fairly narrow property. The concern would be that we have driveway, and that ADOT may have some issues with that. What we are proposing under condition number 3 is that the property owner would coordinate driveway locations, including roadway and sidewalk, with the adjacent property owner and ADOT. The intent there would be the possibility of utilizing a shared driveway that runs just along the property line between the subject property and the property to the north. thereby reducing the total number of driveways there by one. Obviously, any driveway, roadway improvements is going to require ADOT approval. So the skew, we would imagine, would end up having to be a 90-degree versus kind of that angle that you've got shown on this conceptual plan.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Do we have any questions for the applicant? Okay, so if the applicant would come forward, I need you to state your name and address. Vice Chair Barlow has a question. If you would, please state your name and that first.
Russell Grimes. You need address?
And you're representing,
Full engineering, sorry.
okay, and yeah, an address, please.
3453 East Grovers Ave, Phoenix.
So my question for you is just kind of what your thought process was behind limiting this to a 55 plus community as opposed to opening it up to all ages.
That I don't have an answer for. That actually maybe maybe more.
Yeah.
You can come up together. Yeah, just state your name and address and who you represent, please.
Adam Escala, 4239 East San Gabriel Avenue in Phoenix. And that's related to the financing. So senior and family kind of score differently within the competitive financing.
Gotcha.
So that
So
was
for
the
the grant
justification.
application, that was a stipulation of the grant application was to make it 55 plus.
So under the competitive financing, senior properties score differently than family.
Okay.
So we felt in the competitive interests of to get the project funded, we made that decision.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
And also the market kind of plays into that as
Right.
well,
Yeah.
obviously.
And then for how long would it have to stay 55 plus before it could change?
That wouldn't be something that could change in the future.
So it'd be forever, 55 plus,
Yeah, I believe that would be.
even when it's paid off?
I believe that would be within the land use restrictive agreement. That would be agreed to. Yes,
So
I
would
can
that,
follow up and confirm that though.
is it ever going to change rates or go? I mean,
Nope. So
if you're getting a grant, it sounds like you're going for lower income type of
yep.
tenant.
Yeah, yep. So this would be funded by Arizona Department of Housing. 9% competitive tax credits is the funding. And so we'll enter into a land use restrictive agreement, which commits to all the income and rent limits that you see.
Just stay consistent.
And that, yep, and that'll have a 30-year period attached to it. So for a minimum of 30 years, the same rent and income limits apply. And those are tied to the income within the county. Sorry.
The median income.
The median income, yep, sorry. So that changes over time.
So
Would be
technically,
the only way
though,
the incomes would change.
30
in the
years that
rents.
somebody else could come in and buy it and
So,
change
yeah.
that demographic.
That would be the only opportunity for the property to change would be after 30 years. And I actually would like to follow up and confirm that because I operate under, there's a non-competitive program that I work under, and I was sent here to represent the developer. So I don't know all the nuances of the 9% program as well, but I do know that it is absolutely no less than 30 years. It might be longer than that.
Okay.
So
Just kind of curious of the future of
yeah,
down the road.
absolutely.
Any other questions for the Vice Chair Barlow?
Just to follow up on my question that I had for staff regarding the skew of the intersection, have you guys had any conversations with ADOT about the entrance at this point, or is that too early in the process?
Too early at this point, but just looking at it, making it more of just a 90-degree right into it, especially if you move it to the other property line with the shared access.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That road is super busy, and especially if there's going to be elderly people entering and exiting, I do have some concerns that it's going to be a pretty substantial safety concern if the roadway is at a skew like that.
Yeah. I guess the one thing I'd add is we are committed to working with the city on, different code and issues like that to, like you said, it's a preliminary, just a starting point. So,
For sure.
Yeah, it's one of the most highly congested areas
yeah,
in town,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
yeah. And I've been to the site and I can see why that is a concern of yours. So,
And that's its primary ingress egress, right? The other on Cub Lake Road is a emergency only.
Emergency access with
Okay.
that. They would have a gate and Knox.
Yeah, if I could perhaps clarify that a little bit.
Okay.
At this point, we don't know what the nature of the access onto Cub Lake Road would be. It's possible that it may be just an emergency access with a gate. It's also possible, probably more likely than not, that it will turn into a permanent access onto Cub Lake Road, so that people will have another option to get out as opposed to just going out onto the highway. Obviously, that would then necessitate some improvements to Cub Lake Road, which is why you see staff recommendation number 4, which would be that the applicant will be responsible for their proportional share of improvements to Cub Lake Road. The rest of it would be between the county and the city. And as I was speaking to some of the area neighbors just before this meeting, that's been something that's kind of been talked about for a long time. This project, if it moves forward, may be the catalyst to actually get something moving there to get some improvements done.
Yeah, because Cub Lake is pretty, I don't even think it really goes back behind this piece yet. mean,
It
two-track.
does, but it's it's a dirt road. It's not improved to city standards or anything like that. So
Right.
that would necessitate that improvement at that point.
Any other Commissioner Lewis?
Just to confirm, there are no assisted living features in this project, correct?
that's right. It's independent.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So at this time, we'll open it up for questions or actually comments from the public. So I'll have you guys come up, and if you've got the same comments, please just join together. But if you want to come up, please state your name and address, sir.
John Bellabradic, address here locally is 4614 Cub Lake. Couple things, and we've all kind of discussed basically the same thing. Is our main concerns of all of this is protecting our property. We are on the opposite side of Cub Lake Road. Cub Lake Road from Brine Holt south is private road. It is not a public road. We've been told by both the county and city road maintenance that they are not allowed to do maintenance there because it is a private road. And so behind this said property is all private road. So when we're talking access, that we need to be involved in the discussion because that is our property. Our property line literally goes up to that, and Cub Lake Road is, most of it is on our property. Myself and Zach Place, who owns the property that's north of us or south of us on Cub Lake at the corner of Cub Lake and Brine Holt. So our main concern is the protection of our property. Currently, if there is any kind of rain that amounts to a half inch of rain, all of Cub Lake Road from the south end of Cub Lake Road all the way down drains to one culvert that is just north of our property or south of our property. And it all drains there. The apartments up the way had a sewage issue, a leak in their septic. That septic, the sewage was draining down to our culvert. So it's only one culvert going across there. The culvert was put in, thankfully it was put in by someone from the county who we had moaned and groaned about the road, and that was put in some 8 to 10 years ago. And they upgraded the road right there in front of our place. We were the lucky ones. Further north on Cub Lake, also private, all the way down to the other end of it. I think it goes all the way down to Twin Oaks. That particular one has been since upgraded by the owners. This last year to 2 years, they've paid in excess of $5,000 to upgrade that road so it would not drain into their property and drain down the road. Number two, the second really large concern is the value of our property. Right now, our property and our 2-bedroom little cabin is worth in the neighborhood of $250,000 to $300,000. If we put a apartment complex 50 feet on the other side of Cub Lake Road that goes up 35 feet in the air, and it's already 15 to 20 feet grade higher than the road, the whole east view of our property is going to be this building. And if you're in any kind of real estate whatsoever, that instantly just killed my property value. I'm no longer a nice little cabin, acre and a half property in the woods. I'm now got an apartment complex right on the edge of my property. So that's a huge kill for us. And mainly is it's a private road, and that I think needs to be addressed.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? So what you said. Okay. So I'll bring it back to the commission for any further questions of staff or the applicant. So this area is C2, so it would be if somebody put a building there, they could go 45 feet, correct?
Correct. So we don't have a zoning map on here, but the area outlined in red is the subject property. All the property to the north, as well as all the property to the south that abuts Cub Lake Road, that is all zoned C2, which is our general commercial zoning district. In the C2 zoning district, we have a maximum permitted building height of 45 feet. There is a provision that allows people to come to the commission if they need to go higher. As an example, the hospital. That's why they've got the tower there on the backside of the building. So it is feasible that somebody could be 45 feet tall with their building on top of whatever the grade is on this property. When you develop under the R27 standards, that's reduced to 35 feet. So it's a 10-foot reduction over what is currently allowed for building height.
So question from Commissioner Lewis.
Can you give us an approximate, how long has that property been zoned C2?
That's the original zoning for that property. So I would have to look back as to when this was actually annexed and that type of thing, but it is the original zoning. It has not been changed to commercial.
Thank you.
Commissioner Roberts.
When was the property to the backside of this C2 property, when was it purchased by the current owners?
Yeah, we originally purchased actually a cabin down Cub Lake further, and then we purchased this one about 20 years ago.
And you're saying that that was the original zoning for this property going back as far as, I'm sorry, to Mr. Tregaskis.
So I've been here since 99. That was the zoning on the property in 1999 when I was here. So it has not changed in 23 years.
Just for clarification, on we're looking at it, the left side there, that's county, is it not?
Correct.
It is.
Okay, and then this is city. So whose responsibility, and I know they're saying it's private, I understand that. If that gets developed, is there some development, is there going to be some developmental requirements for the roadway?
So again, this goes back to condition number 4. As we heard previously by the neighboring property owner, there's an issue as far as the status of the road of Cub Lake Road and who's responsible to maintain and who does what, whether it's the city, whether it's the county, whether it's the private property owners. This is just very initial stages with this project. As I stated previously, this may be the catalyst for us to get together with all the involved parties and get it figured out as to the who and the what and the who's going to do what. If it is not a dedicated right-of-way, but it is an easement across individual property, private property, and it's dedicated to the public for roadway use, that gives us the ability to go in with a public street. If it is not a dedicated easement and it's not dedicated to the public for the public use, that's where we got to work with the property owners and get some right-of-way dedication for us to be able to get this road done. Ultimately, what we envision is that the city and the county would have to come to some type of an agreement. Again, the nature of that has not even been discussed at this point in order to get that Cub Lake Road improvement taken care of.
I guess
Commissioner Roberts.
point that I'm trying to clarify is everything the way it's zoned and lined out right now is the way it was at the time that the current property owners bought that property.
Yes.
Do you know if it has an easement, right away, roadway?
Well, I can tell you for a fact that there is an easement, because 10 years ago, 8 years ago? 8 years ago, the water company came in and put a big giant 10 by 5 water valve vault right in the front of our property without any kind of questions, permissions, or anything.
Put it in.
Put it in.
Nice.
We didn't know about it until we came up from Tucson one day, and here's this big vault. Looks like somebody built a bomb shelter right at the beginning of our property. There is easement there. Because when I had a garage built, he had to get permits, had to be set back based on the easement and that type of stuff. So there is easement there. I don't know what all the easement is, if it's just utility easement or what the easement is.
Thank you.
So any further questions? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve CUP 602-04-245 submitted by Cole to allow for senior apartments located at 4600 South White Mountain Road, that being APN 212-03-114 F and H, subject to staff recommendation.
I have a motion by Vice Chair,
I moved to second.
second by Commissioner Roberts. All those in favor? Aye. And it's unanimous pass.
Mr. Chair, standard disclaimer, with any conditional use permit, there is a 7-day appeal period. If no appeal is received by the city clerk within 7 days, this will be considered effective.
Thank you, sir. So with that, we'll move to call to the public, and call the public for anyone that has something that's not on the agenda. If they don't have anybody coming forward, I'll dispense with the boilerplate. Okay, and now we're going to move to item number 8, which is the approval of minutes for the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting of March 8th, 2022. And hold on a minute. Yeah.
I need to make just a clarification. There's a correction that needs to be made in the minutes. As the commission will recall, there was an item in which Vice Chairman Barlow declared a conflict. We list him later as actually voting on the item, which did not happen as he was not in the room when the vote took place. So we need to clarify the minutes to indicate that he abstained from the vote due to a conflict. Other than that, there should be no other changes to the minutes that staff is aware of.
Sorry.
So with that correction, I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Roberts.
I moved to approve the minutes from the meeting of February, March 2nd. I didn't look at them. I mean, I looked at I read the minutes, but I didn't remember what they said. But I moved to approve them.
Okay. Second for Commissioner Adams, all in favor? And unanimously passed. With that, we'll move to the summary of current events. We'll start with Commissioner Roberts.
I just want to express my thanks for living in a country where we don't have to go through all the trials and tribulations people in Europe are going through right now. Grateful to live in the US of A.
Commissioner Adams.
Weather's getting nice. Everyone stay safe.
Commissioner Lewis?
Grateful for the principle of gratitude. We need to look and find things that we're grateful for and recognize it. Commissioner Hatch.
I second my buddy here. I like that. Be grateful for what you have.
Vice Chair Barlow?
I'll second Commissioner Adams, just that it's getting nicer. Everybody stays safe, especially as more people start coming up here and enjoying our community and traffic gets worse. So just keep your eyes peeled.
I agree with the Vice Chair. Traffic's going to get worse. Yeah, so everybody knows where we are. Thank you, COVID. And now that they made gas prices really expensive, they won't go anywhere else, so they'll stay in state. So they're coming again. So, hey, thanks for all your tax dollars. We appreciate it. Director Chagaskis.
I won't deny anything that's been said earlier. Just a couple things. One, with the temperatures warming up and particularly the winds that we generally see in spring, it's been a fairly dry winter. Please be careful fire-wise. We've already had some fires in the area. We don't want to have any more, so please just be careful with that. Secondly, I noticed some of the members of the commission were a little bit surprised when we indicated that all commission members were present when we have a vacant seat down at the end. Commissioner Hilgart has resigned from the commission. Her and her husband are going to take some opportunities to travel. So we wish them the best, and we certainly thank her for her willingness to serve on the commission. With that, we will also be accepting applications for that vacancy. We have information available on our website, or interested individuals can come to City Hall and fill out the application. It's a fairly short application window, just because we would like to get a full commission back as soon as possible. But certainly encourage anyone who's interested in doing that to get in contact with the city. That's it.
Thank you. And with that, I'll adjourn this meeting.